welcome back to my channel. I'm Brandy, and today we have another episode of Horror Mini Monthly. We are covering the month of April, and I'll be honest, I didn't get to as many new things in April. It was a lot of going back and checking out things that I had missed from either previous months or previous years, and we love that. We love revisiting horror that I might have missed in the past so that I can check it out and give my thoughts on it. But before we get into all of that, fellow reminder, I do put up new videos here every single day at 4 p.m. Eastern. Hit that subscribe button if you want more content. And I stream over on Twitch Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. And all of the games that we will be covering today are games that I streamed over there, and you can find full VODs for them over on my second channel as well. I'll put that info down below. But as you know, if you are new here, we go through this by sections, and I always like to start off with the movies that I checked out. And I actually only got to see one horror movie in the theaters this past month, and it was the movie Drop. Now, I'm going to start up with a precursor. This is more of a thriller mystery type of movie, not your standard horror per se, but I actually truly enjoyed it. Drop is about a woman named Violet, who is a widowed mother who goes to an upscale restaurant to meet Henry, her charming and handsome date. However, her pleasant evening soon turns into a living nightmare when she receives phone messages from a mysterious hooded figure who threatens to kill her young son and sister unless she kills Henry. Now, one gripe with this before going into it, if you saw the trailer for this movie, it gives you pretty much the whole movie. I don't know why we're in this era of trailers telling the entire premise of a movie, but we need to stop doing this, because I got the gist of this without even watching it, other than like a couple of twists and turns here and there. I knew that she was gonna go on a date and have to attempt to unalive her date. Like, that is shown in the trailer. You also see in the trailer that her son is at home, and like some masked man is at the home, and you can see it on the video footage, like grabbing the kid and her sister, which you don't know if it's a sister or babysitter or whatever from the trailer, but like you see all of this in the trailer, so you know where the stakes are at from the beginning of the movie, because you already have that precursor going into it. That being said, it didn't take away from this movie for me personally, because I did still enjoy it. It gives the same vibes as the movie that came out last year with Jason Bateman called Carry On. Honestly, it's kind of the same thing, where somebody is just doing normal activities and somebody's in their ear essentially telling them what they need to do while holding their family ransom. Very similar thought process. I do like the actors in this movie. It did have some interesting parts, but it's a relatively cut and paste movie. It's an enjoyable watch for the excitement of it, but we just need trailers to stop giving it all away. Stop giving me like a 3-minute trailer. Too much. Then next, I caught up on a film that came out last year that I actually wanted to see in theaters, but nobody wanted to see it with me, and that is Y2K. And I'll be honest, after watching this movie, I understand why people didn't want to go see it with me. It's a movie, but Y2K is about, on the last night of 1999, two young high school juniors crash a New Year's Eve party only to find themselves fighting for their lives when the terror of Y2K becomes a reality and all machines rise up against humanity. Now, this movie has Rachel Zegler in it, and I know she has been coming under a lot of fire recently for Snow White related stuff, but all of that aside, I do like her as an actress. I loved her in Hunger Games. This movie, it's more of a comedy horror movie, so there's obviously horror elements. There's more gore and like blood and splatter than I was expecting, which I loved, but ultimately it's meant to be kind of silly. And it is a little ridiculous. A little bit of the acting is a little ridiculous. The one gripe that I kind of had about this is it's not just that like technology is turning on people. Like, the technology is literally somehow becoming robots. Like a toaster and a microwave just kind of like sync up, and somehow they combine with a computer, and now it's a robot that's attacking people. So like that element was like a little weird. I kind of would have liked it more if it was slightly more based in reality, of that literally the electronics were like taking down society as opposed to becoming little robots that kill people. But I guess that's part of the element of it being a comedy horror. It's not meant to be taken seriously. So if you want a fun, like popcorn type of horror movie, you can put this on for sure. Then I checked out the very weirdly acclaimed movie The Menu. This actually came out in 2022, and this movie, when I saw it, it was on Netflix that I checked it out when it was on. It was listed as a comedy movie, and I know that that's bull because it's not a comedy. It's not necessarily a straight horror. It's more of a thriller with like kind of weird elements to it. I don't know why people keep saying this is like comedy horror. I don't think I laughed a single time in this movie, as opposed to like Y2K where things were laughably funny. This isn't really a comedic movie, but The Menu is about foodie Tyler Ledford and his date Margaret Mills, who travel by boat to Hawthorne, an exclusive restaurant operated by celebrity chef Julian Slovic. The other guests are food critics, her editor, business owners, and many others. The group is given an island tour who notes that Margaret is not Tyler's designated guest. As the courses start to come out, they realize that this meal is not at all what they were intending on. So you get the gist, kind of honestly, from the description of this movie. Note from the trailer, it's got Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Fiennes, Nicholas Hoult. We've got a really good cast of people in this movie, and it's all people that are really good at playing odd characters. I think that's the best way I could describe it. So I knew that the acting was going to be on display in this movie. It's a little bit of a slow burn at first because we don't know much about these characters and we're just thrown into the story of them all getting to this island for this dinner. Kind of learn about each of the characters and their backstories as the movie progresses and their motivations of like why they're there, why certain things might be happening to them. And I'll be honest, this movie, it was a bit slow in the beginning until a certain thing happens, and then it just flips itself completely and you're like, oh shit, we got a movie. I see why this is a thriller horror. Okay, I'm here. So honestly, if you can get through the beginning being a little slow and mundane, it definitely picks up later on. It's a little crazy. I must say it gets a little wild. I did enjoy this. It's kind of a one and done sort of watch for me because once you learn the allure of what's going on, it kind of, that's the whole spill of everything. But ultimately, this took a couple of turns I wasn't anticipating, and it was very unique for sure. Then we dove into some shows this month, and as you all know, I have been addicted to K-dramas, and this past month was no different. I did check out 2 different K-dramas this month, one that was okay and one that was great. We'll start with the one that was okay, and that is the show The Frog. It is about a 20-year-old murder case involving a motel owner and his family, and a present-day incident where a mysterious guest at a holiday rental disrupts a man's life. Both timelines are connected by a police officer who witnesses the initial murder and then later investigates the present-day events. Now, I'll be honest, the show is a little confusing. You jump back and forth between these 2 timelines of there's the main guy, and he has this like holiday rental house in the woods. This lady shows up with her son, and seemingly the son disappears. There's like blood all over, and the lady's gone. And the guy is like, what the shit happened in my place? What happened here? And that's like the one story. The other story is this other family that owns a motel that's supposedly in the same area, and a guy stays the night, ends up being a serial killer, ends up killing someone at the motel, and then all of the craziness that then happens with the family that owns that motel and what goes on. Now, they say that they're connected. I'll be honest, when I watched this, I did not realize that they had happened like many, many years apart from each other. They don't really signify the timeline of these two because they kind of jump back and forth. And the only real connector is that the same police officer worked both cases, but like I didn't even realize that at first until later on. I was hoping for so much more from this, but honestly, the characters in this are just so slow to react. The crazy shit going on around them. The whole time I'm there just like banging my head like, why are we not doing anything? Like this crazy girl is like going after this guy at his rental and insistently annoying him and ruining his life and like doing stuff to his rental, and he literally does nothing. Like you're like 20 some years this girl's senior and you're doing nothing. Like, oh my god, take action, bro. Do something. I wanted this show to be great, but ultimately it had me yelling at my TV more than anything. It wasn't a bad show, but I wanted more. The characters in this played dumb for far too long for it to have gone on as long as it did. But it was an interesting watch. Probably one of my least favorite K-dramas I've watched thus far. However, on the flip side, I also watched the show Karma, and this one was so good. This tells the story of 6 intertwined lives, all connected by a dark event from the past. A man witnesses an accident, makes a deal, doctor grapples with childhood trauma, man goes bankrupt, others face unforeseen circumstances and bad luck, and somehow all of these individuals comes together in a theme of karma and consequences of their action. This show, it's got a lot of notable actors if you've watched other K-dramas that you would recognize, and each episode kind of focuses on different people within this intertwined storyline where you keep thinking the situation, it can't get worse, right? And it gets crazier and crazier. It slowly kind of works into understanding that nobody is truly innocent in anything, and that karma comes back to people. If you do bad things onto others, it finds its way back to you. And the way that this continues to unfold, it's only 6 episodes, so it's not long, but every single episode will have you on the edge of your seat waiting to see what happens next, because it just all comes together so well. And the last episode of how it all ties, chef's kiss. This one was great. Highly recommend this one. Both this and The Frog were Netflix exclusives, as well as the next show that I watched that I'm putting in the horror thriller genre because this season was terrifying at parts, and that is You Season 5. This is the final season of You. This was also on Netflix. If you've never watched any of You, it is about this guy, Joe Goldberg, who in the first season and then this one lives in New York City, and he has these desires to stalk women. He's crazy. But yeah, so he pretty much learns about these different women that he interacts with in his everyday life, comes up with these obsessions of them, stalks them, follows them, has this whole relationship in his brain. However, he is played by Penn Badgley, so he has a certain charm to him because of who they chose for that, which ends up ultimately luring in these girls who every season, it just does not go well for them. I don't want to say too much because if you've never watched You, I highly recommend it. If you like thrillers, dark thrillers, there's some romance in there. It's kind of like Dexter, but with more romance than Dexter, because Dexter is like so closed off from like a lot of relationships with other people. Joe like loves and loves fiercely, but also scary. He also has no moral code. You know, he tries to claim that he takes people out with a purpose, but the only purpose is to protect himself because he's crazy. If you like suspense thrillers, this last season really got kind of scary at some parts, like of the scariness of potentially being in a situation like this, which is not that otherworldly. Like there's definitely people out there in the world that are like the Joe Goldberg in this show. So if you want something that's a thriller that might be a little too close to home. So worth it. And last but not least, there was a bunch of games that I checked out this month. The first of which being this game called Indigo Park. It's actually a free-to-play game over on Steam where it's a chapter-based indie mascot horror game. This is the first chapter. Supposedly there's more chapters coming out. I don't know if they have release dates on those, but it is set in an abandoned and ruined amusement park called Indigo Park, which was a once famous park that mysteriously closed after a horrific accident. You kind of explore throughout the desolate park, and it's very creepy and ominous, and there are these different mascots within the game that kind of bring you through the story of it all as you kind of walk around. It's got exploration, but it's also got like puzzle solving, and honestly this was only like a half hour because there was kind of an introduction to the series. I'm really hoping that they come out with more of this. I think they have another episode queued for sometime this year. I want to say this came out at the end of last year, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely something to check out if it wasn't really on your radar yet. And then next up, we have a re-release game, which I played the newer game of it, which is Chillazart the Bathhouse. This is the restored edition, which was actually released in 2024. The original one was a few years before that. And this is a J-horror game about a girl named Maina who takes on a new job as a bathhouse attendant. The original game is not on the Steam store anymore because there was some game-breaking bug, which is why they came out with this new re-release. I never played the original, but I did hear that the story and some things were moderately changed in this new one, because when I streamed this, a lot of people in my community were like, ooh, this is different. I don't remember this. This was interesting. But this one was really good. This was a little bit longer of a Chillazarts game. There was more to it. I really like the Chillazarts games where you have some sort of like a job, because those ones seem to be the slow burn where at first everything seems, normal is subjective in these games, but like sort of normal, and then each day kind of like picks up in creepiness. This one is no different, and so many funny memes came out of this because you work in a bathhouse. Everyone's in there in like towels, and they just say weird phrases and stuff, but it's essentially a haunted bathhouse. Super creepy. Another gem from Chillazart to check out. Then I checked out the Baby in Yellow, which is absolutely terrifying if you haven't played this one. It was a nightmare. It's a first-person horror game where you play as a babysitter tasked with looking after a rather unusual baby. Now, this game starts off as you think. You're a babysitter, you're in the house taking care of the baby's weird shit starts happening in the house, and I will be totally honest, the first half of this game, I loved it. I guess this game was like released in chapters, but because it's been out for a bit, I've played it all in one fell swoop, essentially. The later half of the game, not a fan. It lost me. It went from a very standard, simple premise to, I feel like they went too supernatural and too out there with it, to the point that I lost some interest. I'll be honest. And I know a couple of people highly recommended this game and said it was really, really good. And I'm not denying that. I really liked the beginning of it. But the last, I don't know, 30 to 40 something minutes of this, I was just like ready for it to finish. I guess there's supposed to be more coming, so hopefully they bring it back around to kind of like how it started, because that's more what I really enjoyed from this game. But this one was kind of like a 50-50 for me. And last but not least, we actually played a new horror game that just dropped this past month, which was an indie game called the Boba Tea Shop. And you can assume what it is. You're literally in a horror simulation game where you own and manage a boba tea shop. You play as Risa, a woman in her 30s who's tired of corporate life and has decided to chase her dreams of opening a boba tea shop. You prepare the boba, serve the customers, expand the menu, and weird stuff starts happening. I mean, that's how horror games work. It starts off normal, and then shit hits the fan. This game is no different. It reminded me a little bit of Chillazart's The Closing Shift, where you work in the coffee shop. Kind of a similar vibe, because again, it starts off slow, things are a little eerie, the music's a little off, the lights flicker, things like that, and then it fast forward to there's a literal demons in the boba shop trying to murder you. So there was waves of this. It's a very short game. I want to say this was less than an hour, but it really took a heavy flip to get to the ending of this. And I love those easy to palette horror games like this. The indie games that are like an hour in length. We have a set story start to finish. I can do it in one sitting and just be like, wow, whew, okay, that was a game. And this was honestly that. And I really liked it. And it was some indie company I've never heard of before. I'm hoping they come out with more like this. Gave me serious Chillazart vibes, which I love. And last but not least, I got a couple books this month. I'm so bad at reading, but that doesn't stop me from purchasing. First I got is this Best New Horror, which is, it's kind of like a big compilation book of a bunch of different horror. I don't know if it's short stories or like shorter books. I don't know if they intertwined at all or not. So yeah, major showcase of superior short stories and novellas of horror and dark fantasy. So this is just a big anthology book of horror, which honestly, I love little horror short stories. And then I found this other one, which the cover looked so cool. Lockdown, Escape from Furnace. I mean, honestly, this cover looks super creepy and immediately sucks me in. Makes me think of like something Chernobyl related. But even when you look at the back of it, all of that just kind of, drew me into it. Honestly, a little bit different than what I normally read, but it seems like it's part of a series given the number on the side. So I'm always down to try out something new and see if I like it. But that is all that I got this month. I've been a little bit slower with things. I haven't really found many movies lately, and I've been trying to take it easy with the books because I've bought so many books and I've literally read 3 books this year. I need to slow down. I don't know if anybody else is like that, where they buy so many and then barely read through any of them. I need to get better at actually remembering to read through the books that I buy and not just buy them because they look cool. But that is all I got for you for this month. That is my wrap up for the month of April. As always, if you like this, please give it a big thumbs up. Remember, I do this series every month. I do have a playlist for all of the previous episodes. If you want to check that out, I'll put that up here. Thank you so much for watching. If you love horror and you want more horror content, comment down below. Let me know what was your favorite thing that I covered this month, or suggestions you might have for me to check out for next month, because I would love to get into all of it. But again, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I see you in the next one. Bye, fam!